All right, all right, all right. It's that time. Let me cut the music off. And we're live. We are back after a grueling 6 days and 5 hours without power. I actually made my return to streaming last night for the members. I got midweek news 127 published today for members. 128 will come out, I'm hoping, later tonight or in the wee hours of tomorrow morning for members. And then everybody else is going to get a combined episode 127 and 128 sometime tomorrow morning. So we are here and in it to win it. And I don't know. Feels like a good night to open up the whiskey again. So, yeah, we are here, and I never really got a good plan for tonight's stream. So maybe I'm still a little frazzled after being without power and water for nearly a week. But hey, we're making progress. We're getting back in the swing of things. And hopefully, let me bring that down just a little bit. Hopefully, things are going to level out, return to normal, and we will get some more content out and push things forward again, right? So we've got Grish here, of course. Sorry I didn't have the overlay up when you made your comments. And Terrell, after the week you had, I'm surprised you had any whiskey left. That is fair. I actually didn't touch it at all, or the other substance I have on hand, a little bit of. That would have been a good time to heavily get into both of them, but and Indiana Cornbread Nerd, glad to see you back. So yeah, it was quite the ordeal. I'm happy to be back. I'm probably going to be streaming a little bit more than I normally would. I want to give myself enough time over the weekend to get some videos done, and hopefully that fog video will be coming out early next week. I'm a bit behind on it, as you can guess, losing 6 days. But I will revise my original plan, and it may end up being a 3-part series rather than one tremendously long video like I'd initially envisioned it. But we will get some fog content out before hopefully by early next week, right? So next couple of days, tomorrow I have a dentist appointment in the morning, and then I work noon to 7. Let's see, tomorrow is what, Thursday? I don't know. I don't even know what day it is now. Okay, today's Wednesday. Yep, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday I have to go in from I think 9:30 to noon to do some decorating around the library for the summer reading program that starts in early June. And then I get to go home. So the rest of Friday afternoon and the majority of Saturday, I'm going to hopefully be spending split between catching up on stuff I need to do here in the apartment, since I lost a week on chores that couldn't be done without electricity, and get some of that caught up. Get the fog video rolling. I've got a good list of things that I want to include in the fog video. I just have to sit down and record or re-record pieces and stitch them together, right? So I guess the whiskey's had a little time to breathe. Cheers, everybody. So, yeah, I was actually rather impressed in some ways. My views on the channel did not completely flatline while I was without power. I managed to do a stream this past, I think it was Friday night. And you know, on cellular internet with, you know, not my main equipment. And so you know, I did that, and I did some shorts, and everybody knows I'm not a real fan of shorts. I don't like watching them. I tolerate recording them because that's what the YouTubes want these days. But you know, I'm all for low effort shorts. so if you see shorts and the lighting is bad or whatnot, I'm recording it on my phone, or you know, in the case of some of them from the week before last, I used AI to cut down midweek news and make, you know, some shorts out of it. And hey, I'm going to use the tools that I've got to keep the content coming out, and I'm trying to set and keep a pace of content coming out that is, you know, not going to drive me nuts in the process, and it is going to get views and potentially bring in more subscribers, and potentially at some point maybe some new members of the channel. So yeah.
Josephus has entered the ring. Fight.
Oh, that outdoor kitchen was great. That was great. So time to reach out to EcoFlow for a battery generator sponsorship. You know, that did cross my mind more than once during the power outage. You know, it's one of those things that if there would have been a time, it would have been like the week before the power outage to receive something like that, and I could have put it through a real world um, um, test during the 6 days I was without power. So I don't know. It's been interesting. I'm looking to get some things back to normal, uh, and you know, we'll see what happens. Of course, I did midweek news 127 for the members, and I only ended up being able to get 7 minutes and 10 seconds out of it. Maybe because I was trying to talk faster, but you know. Um, so anyway, um, uh, got my quote for new network equipment at the library today. Um, and I ran some of the equipment uh, by Tony, and just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, or there wasn't something on the list that he wouldn't recommend putting in. And turns out that they had quoted me the switch that he's had the problems with the loud fans. So I'm debating whether I want to go up to the level 3 switch, or if I want to do two 24s, where one is PoE and one is non-PoE. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that, because in a pinch, if it came down to it, I could always power phones with PoE injectors, or um, AC adapters, or what have you. So there are, I guess, some advantages to doing two 24 port switches. Um, Adds a little complexity to management, but it's Grandstream, and it's easy, right? um yeah. So I think I've got most of my lab equipment powered back on, at least the stuff I'm going to be using in the near term, the next few days. I did reconnect my QNAP NAS, because I want to make sure that I don't have anything on it, and then I want to put that on the Grandstream network that I'm hoping to start switching stuff over to here. If it's not this weekend, then hopefully by the middle of June, I will be moved over to Grandstream here. So that's kind of what I have on the horizon, between doing the fog videos and finishing the planning and starting to migrate stuff over to the Grandstream network. A lot of it is just reconfiguring IP addresses on things that were static addresses, and moving it over, and make sure it tests out as I move it over, right? So that's one of my projects that's now further behind than what it was. So anyways, yeah, I don't like the single point of failure. And that's why I initially wanted to go with the two switches in the first place. But I think we've only got 11 PoE devices currently. Seven VoIP phones and 4 access points, right? So there's 11 devices there. I could somewhere down the road get a PoE hat for one of the Raspberry Pis I've got over there. Well, it's the library's Pi, but of course I'm managing it, right? So I could do a PoE hat for the Raspberry Pi and do something with that as a pet project. But it's all good. It's all good. I have to admit, with the constraints that we've been operating under for the last several years, with not really being able to buy new equipment the way I've wanted to, we're in a position now that we've got the existing 24 port switch maxed out, and yeah, we have no real room for expansion on that stuff, and I want to get rid of the unmanaged switches that we've got around, just to make things a little more easy to manage and document, right? But hey, Texas makes great PoE injectors. All right, let's see. Mini GP Racing. There are a bunch of PoE Plus to 5-volt or 12-volt. I have a few for some mini PCs. Might be cheaper than PoE hat. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've seen those. That would be worth looking into as well. So those might be worth looking into as well. So yeah, things I think are stabilizing. I think I've mostly caught up on my updates on all my equipment since things have come back up yesterday and today. My stress level has been so much lower today. Of course, it helped that I got my first cup of coffee before I left home this morning. So that's a nice way to start the day, right? If I don't have my coffee in the morning, then people, I don't know, I don't want to deal with them. And it's probably a mutual observation. They probably don't want to deal with me either. So that's that. I don't think there's too much left in Fresh RSS. I've been trying to keep this pretty caught up since I had power restored. What's Hedge Wars? Turn-based artillery game featuring fighting hedgehogs. Ooh. So yeah. YouTube rolling out updated mini player on Android and iPhone. Great. From the let's make worse something that already works. Kind of like Sonos, from what I've heard. Anybody have a horror story about Sonos? Um, so yeah. Oh yeah, that was one of the big news stories that I saw today. Fedora 43 is going to drop GNOME X11 support and go all in on Wayland. That should be interesting. They really want to push the oh look, I know that guy. They really want to push the envelope on that. We'll see if it bites them on their hind end in the process. Um, yeah. Anyway, let's pop over here, I guess. Do. Did you have to forcefully cold turkey coffee? No, I since I couldn't make it here, I ended up stopping at the coffee shop for coffee. Uh, I think 3 days last week, which got to be kind of expensive. So even their pour over isn't cheap. Um, not as cheap as I can make it at home, and I get a larger quantity when I make it at home. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I hear Sonos hates VLANs. I've heard similar stories. Red Hat 10, Enterprise Linux 10 is doing the same with Xorg. I'm surprised that Enterprise Linux 10 would do it that quick, because usually it gets tested. It gets tested in Fedora before something like that ever makes it into Enterprise Linux 10. And since RHEL 10 was just released, um, let's see. Huh. Interesting. Oh, it's doing away with Xorg server support aside from X Wayland. Is what I'm seeing. Which I guess, to light the fire under the behinds of developers to finally get their stuff to work on Wayland, I guess is a good middle ground to keep X Wayland. Is it cold over there? You have a jacket on. Yeah, it's 49 degrees. Brody had a video on this today. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that video. I've not seen it yet. To be frank, they can still use RHEL 9 for a very long time. This is very true. This is very true. Just because RHEL 10 has been released doesn't mean it's going to get adopted tomorrow. So, maybe 6 months out, maybe early 2026, when, after like 10.1 is out. But yeah. Anyway, so things are going all right, I guess. If I could just get the people over at Telestream to release a flippin' update for ScreenFlow, I'd be real happy. Oh, I know what I could talk about. Let me download it first. I think that's the .org. So, let me bring this back up. So, I started playing with this at work today on Windows. So, what this is a piece of software that lets you build courses in a different way than how I built the Linux course that I put out last year, which needs an update, needs a big update. So anyway, this is kind of interesting. So let's just grab the Mac version of it. GPL3 and doggone it, I want the DMG file. Interesting. The Windows version is on 1.8. Well, it's a 1.8 beta. We'll see if this 1.7 is a beta release or if it's also a beta. Well, if it's a beta or if it's an actual release. So do this. And it'll probably prompt me for my password. Or not. 400 megabytes. Okay. Close that. Eject it. And it's probably going to complain at me because that's what macOS does now. Settings, privacy and security. Open anyway. Open anyway. Is it going to open or is it going to close that? Here we go. Okay, so English. Oh, so this is a beta as well. So this is kind of interesting. So if you do new project and we'll say classic, and so you can add, I don't know, we'll add a text zone and we'll just edit that and call that placeholder text. And then we will, where did my button go? Add a button. We'll add a new slide. And then, I don't know, we'll put in, excuse me, we'll say media, video MP4. We'll edit this, and we will come down to 2025 YouTube, and we'll just pick a midweek news video and save that. And then we can take and make this larger. And add a button. And then we can, I don't know, put a quiz on here. Not sure why that's not fully in English. Anyways, and then we'll add a button on this, I guess. And we'll make this a I'm really put off by the fact that this is not in English. I don't even know what language this is in. All right. Yeah. Right. I think it's that one, 2-page 0. We'll call it that. And then you can take this and do overview, and it'll generate your little class here. It'll let you play the video. Welcome to midweek. And then we come here and we do our quiz, and then we say return. And actually, the Mac version works better than the Windows version, or 1.7 works better than 1.8 because it actually returned me to the beginning. So the reason I started taking a look at this is because the learning management system I used to create this Linux course I did last year is going to be adding what are called SCORM packages, adding support for SCORM packages. And this builder application, Open eLearning, allows me to build a course here and export it as a SCORM package, which I can then take and put directly into the learning management system. So I thought it would be interesting to play with this and see what it was capable of. I'm not sure why the Mac version is still stuck on 1.7. So anyways, yes, I want to quit. I don't want to save. I do want to go back and look at that page because looks like the Linux version is also on 1.7. So I may look at another option just to see if one of the other options works better on platforms that are not Windows. I do think this is an interesting platform, but as you saw, they limit you to like a 4.4 by 3 aspect ratio, which is kind of off-putting as far as I'm concerned. Um, wow. Yeah, I was really hoping that they would have a preference somewhere. English. Thank you. New project. Um, they don't have a lot of options here. I mean, I stick with classic, I guess. Mode. What if I do large slide? Oops. Execute. So anyway, they've got this idea of smart blocks, which I mean are, just kind of pre-laid out for you. Of course, it's not automatically resizing to fit. If I add another slide and then I go back, it's still not really resizing. So that one gets the full width type of thing, but still doesn't put the button where I want it. So what I should probably do is come here and delete that one. And then I can just duplicate this a few times. And this one can go to next, come down here, and we'll put this one over here. Here we go. Now it's in English. That's what I wanted it to say. Go to page 0. Oh, actually, I want that to say return. So, and then, I mean, there's really nothing to this one, but at least it's going to be have a wider slide, right? So next, return, and then we're back at the title slide. So this is kind of interesting to play with, right? So all right, let's come back here. Yeah, sucks we went from AC back to heat. Absolutely. Yes, I've been enjoying the electricity and having running water again, because with no electricity, the pump for the well doesn't run either. I think they supported distro version for 10 years or something. Yeah, that sounds right. Might be shorter if you're on the free plan for developers or whatever, but it's kind of interesting. Can the open e-learning export to things like PDF? No, it doesn't export to PDF. So the the options for exporting or publishing, as they call it. You've got SCORM package or local HTML. And so it'll generate all the JavaScript and CSS and HTML and all the glue that ties it all together for you and dump it into a directory. I don't believe. Oh, look at that. It does have a PDF option. Huh. Well, let's play a minute. Okay, so let's throw placeholder. We'll put do they have, oh, here we go, image library. We'll put her there. Let's do media MP4, and we'll just throw a I don't know. Throw this one in there, I guess. Save. And then this one, we'll just put another text zone. You have reached the end. Okay, so now if we do export to PDF, I'm curious to see if this actually works. I don't think it's going to have the video in it. Test open e-learning. Save it to downloads. Oops. Okay, so we come to downloads. What do you know? It does, in fact, render other than the video. And it doesn't have buttons, of course, but then it just has blank space at the end. Interesting, I suppose. How useful that is, I'm not sure. Now, here's another challenge that we can try. So if we come out here to YouTube, let's just go, we'll pick on Willie tonight. We're going to copy the URL here. Go back to open e-learning, and we're going to change this. We're going to delete this. Because that was a local file, and we're going to go to media, and we're going to say video URL, and we're going to drop Willie in here. And then what we can do is we can export again. Download, and we'll just leave the default name. Because what I'm curious to see is whether or not it will play nice if we had a URL in there rather than an actual video. And the answer is no. All right. Well, I tried. That's the only other way I could think of to get that in there. Because yeah, URL MP4, which would be from the local machine, or MP3. That's interesting. Again, not sure how useful. Yeah. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. I can see where there are limits to the whole thing. It's if they had funding behind the project and could keep all their supported platforms on the same version, I would be more impressed. I mean, they do have things like iframes, and I suppose there would be ways to put a video in that. Again, whether it'll render out for a PDF, I'm not entirely sure. But it's interesting, I guess. You can do Hangman. I mean, I guess that's fun if you're 10. Yeah. I mean, they've got the panel slide, which, you can put information in, blah, blah, blah. So if we go back to main and do overview, which I think should be preview, but that's just me, I guess. So placeholder is the first one. Next. You get a little slide out for additional information. Next, and then return to start. Yeah, I mean, interface for Moodle. It's interesting that they've only got the 3 options there. I'm assuming Moodle would be the most compatible of the bunch. Testing. Send the status completed. Okay. Execute. So test SCORM. It's a zip file. Yeah, that's talking about uploading it to Moodle, which we're not actually going to use. But what I want to see is if we unpack this, what you actually get. And it looks like you've got a text file for open e-learning. You've got JavaScript files. You've got your HTML index file, XML. Not sure what XSD is. Your images, your effects for, I'm assuming that's like transitions between slides, data, and which it looks like there's a bunch of XML there. Your CSS and another XSD file. So interesting, I suppose. Wow. Yes, I want to quit. So I did briefly look at open e-learning alternatives. And if we come down and say we want an open source alternative, there aren't that many. H5P, which does actually have a plugin for like WordPress, but I wouldn't call it a full-fledged builder. Lumi is probably the most comparable. So we'll open that in a new tab. And Adapt e-learning. I don't know if we can trust that. It's out of the UK. I'm kidding if you couldn't guess. So if we go to the website for this one, and we go to the website for this one, so this, they've got a desktop editor, Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, and this supports Apple Silicon, no less. Lumi H5P desktop editor. So I'm not sure that's exactly what I want, but Adapt Learning, the authoring tool. And I'm curious to see that's not even at a 1.0 version. Let's look at the GitHub. January 15th, 2025. I'm not sure this project is that old. 2022. $2020. That's been around for a while. When did this start? 2015. That's just a bug fix release. I don't know. Some of these are kind of interesting. Last big release was 2023. 0.11.2. Look at that. 7 years, 3 years, 6 months, 10 years ago. It's not promising. I don't know. I'm more curious, I guess, about this one. So let's give this a try. Why not? This is at least at a 1.0 version. Wow, 611 megabytes. The first hard drive I had was only 340 megabytes. Oh, it must be signed. Wow, imagine that. Automatic updates, pre-release features, install default libraries, accept. Okay, so create content or upload. So it looks like you can put like overlays on top of videos and do interesting things like that. So this is probably terribly boring for all of you, but let's just play and see what we can do, right? Add interactions. Add interaction, drag the element from the toolbar and drop it onto the video. Bookmarks.
Welcome to.
Yeah. This is interesting. I'm not sure I quite grok it yet, having read zero documentation, but okay, so you can do, it does let you scrub. So I don't know, we'll do Open Home Foundation. Display as poster. I don't know. Done. Wow, that's interesting. All right, that's sort of interesting. Um, hmm. Well, this editor definitely feels more fleshed out to me, but I don't know. I don't know. This is interesting. Course presentation, multiple choice, so different types of quizzes, drag the words, drag and drop, dialogue cards. This is way more fleshed out. Okay, so export as SCORM package. Restrict width and center, show embed, export. Okay. And I think that went into, where did that save? I don't know. I am way behind. Let's ditch this for a minute. Kind of interesting. Can open. We looked at that one. PDF might still be useful, but not sure. Mostly a fail for PDF. Yes, I would have to agree. I might fool with it for an XCPNG guide I need to write. Tony, welcome in. Certainly more complex features in Lumi. Yeah. Although I'm not sure what it's doing right now. Both windows seem to be sort of stuck. Copyright 2025. All right. Well, close that. We'll say new. Yeah, I definitely think this is interesting. I have a suspicion, though, that it's pulling stuff down from a website somewhere. I think this is one of those wrapper apps that has it's a glorified web app, really. So still has Google Plus on here. How many years has that been gone? Anyway. Course presentation examples. The H5P group. H5P group is now part of D2L. Okay. Seems like I had this installed as H5P on one of the WordPress sites I manage. And the whole idea was interactive content, right? So hey, look at that process of elimination. Oh, I guess it would help if I were showing that. Yeah, so they had a little drag and drop quiz thing. Victoria University, Australia, and University of Manchester. There's a German school, and not sure where that one's from. Interesting, I guess. Yeah. Um, I'm not sure I'm actually going to use this. Uh, so this does allow the export as one HTML file and several media files, or an all-in-one HTML file. Oh, developer tools. Wow. I guess that could be interesting. I haven't handwritten HTML in a couple of decades. Um, Probably longer than that. Probably 2002 was the last time I hand wrote HTML, other than a class I had more recently than that. But okay. Settings, general, appearance. Well, that doesn't really help much. Let's make it purple just because. Um, yeah, I don't know. That might be over my head. Not something I'm going to figure out tonight, right? Um, oh, interesting. So once upon a time when I was teaching, um, I had to actually participate in some curriculum development activities, which was interesting for someone with no formal training as a teacher of any variety, um, other than years of teaching myself various skills, which I admit has paid off over the years. But um, the way the um, eh, vocational college that I was teaching at did things, they had hired I don't know what her exact title was anymore, but um, basically each department would put together their different courses. All the quizzes, all the videos, all the handouts, etc. We turn them over to this person who uh, assembled everything, put it in our learning management system. And I can't help but think with some of these tools, it would have been a whole lot easier to create things. But they weren't available at that time, for sure. So I don't know. Um, I've been keeping notes over the past several months on ways that I want to um, take the initial attempt, the foundation I laid for this initial Linux course I did. And I want to take that and I want to expand it. um, and I got a couple ideas on ways I want to do this. I've got a list of things I want to cover, but um, basically it's down to just deciding on a set of logistics for how I'm going to do it. And I think the one mini PC I've got over here is going to turn into my guinea pig. I'll wipe Windows 11 off it because I don't really use it for Windows 11. And I prefer just not to have any Windows on my network when it comes down to brass tacks. So I think the way I want to approach the 2.0 course is, instead of focusing on command line stuff, I want to take the quote unquote appliance route. And granted, this is not something I've seen done before. So, I'm either going to be too soon into the market, which is typical, or too late into the market, which would be my other option. I don't seem to fall in the middle. But my idea would be to cover things like Open Media Vault, TrueNAS Scale, DAV file, Proxmox, and other things that are out there to basically install as an appliance OS, where you don't necessarily see the command line, and most of it is administered through a web page. You get it installed and you hit a URL or a IP address at a specified port number, and you're good to go. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the idea, but I think there's an opportunity here, given that with Windows 10 going end of support in October, there is going to be a lot of quote unquote obsolete in terms of running Windows hardware out there that will run Linux quite well. And the idea that keeps popping in my head, oh, that's a big pour. I'll sleep well tonight. The idea that keeps popping in my head is to continue on my quest, which I've pushed through various venues before, but continue on my quest to try to slow the e-waste, right? And if people can reuse, an existing Windows 10 desktop PC as a NAS, I'm all for keeping it around for a while longer. Certainly, I've got machines on my network that are well past their prime for running a desktop operating system, but they work quite well as appliances. I've got, between NAS boxes that I built, like Proxmox backup server is running on what, a Dell Optiplex 3020, which I think is like a 4th gen Intel, if I recall off the top of my head. It's I mean, certainly the disk speeds, the read write speeds aren't as good as what you'd find on a new machine these days, but the price is right. So, let's see. Now faculty builds their own stuff in D2L Brightspace. It was a statewide mandate to go with this. Interesting. Interesting. You think Windows 10 will extend? I don't think they'll extend it the way they did like Windows 7. Since they have already, Microsoft being they have already announced that they will let consumers pay for, I think it's up to 3 additional years of support. Maybe I'm misremembering some of this, but you can go at least 1 year, and I think it was up to 3 years. Maybe it was 1 year for consumers and 3 for business. Don't quote me on that. But there is an extended support option even for consumer machines. So I don't believe that, especially with the push they made on Windows 11 for the TPM 2.0 and, you know, the newer Intel and AMD chips, I don't think they're going to extend Windows 10. At least not the way they've done with previous operating systems. You should see the age of some of the stuff in my lab. 2012 up DL360 servers for some things. Yeah. Well, up until a couple of years ago, I was running like a 13-year-old super micro server, so which was used when I bought it. So it was at least 13 years old when I transitioned off from using it. It's just old and slow now. But I think I'm going to reuse the disks for like ISO image storage on my newer Proxmox machines. But I don't see that machine being more than e-waste. But so, all right. Well, I guess we've played with a couple of things tonight. I mean, I'm not sure it's been the most interesting stream ever, but you know, it was one of those attempts at being productive and stream at the same time, I guess. I'm just happy to be streaming again, and not having to, you know, drop down to 720p. In the process, so I can do it over cellular. But yeah, I mean, I think this will be interesting to play with some of these things and you know, work on so yeah. I don't know. I've got some ideas, and I'm gonna have time this weekend, so we'll see what happens with that. I mean, maybe I should just do a fog course. And you know, because I'm sick of putting fog content up on YouTube. I really am. It's not been changing that much, and I don't know. It just seems repetitive and redundant. So anyway, I just like I said, I'm happy to be streaming again, and see where things go next, right? So, any questions? Any questions? Yeah, I think it would be interesting. I'm not sure how much of a market there is for something that niche. Um, and you know, if I were going to put the time and effort into building a course on fog, I'd really want to um have it coincide with them releasing the next major version, the 1.6 version, which has the rebuilt graphical interface. And it's been like 7 months since I did the review of the beta version with a new interface. And at that time, there were a few hiccups that I had to work through. Um, so, you know, I think that would be where I would want to make the course is to coincide with a new version, and you know, tick off some of the boxes for some of these extra features that I still don't completely know how I'm going to demonstrate some of the features. And in some ways, if I don't have the equipment to demonstrate it, I'm not going to acquire the equipment just for a demonstration. So it might be a discussion of what the feature is supposed to do, and you know, gently referring them to the fog forums for interaction with the developer types. um, but since I'm not using it at work, and even if I were, I don't have access to volume licensing at work. um, so there are things that I can't really do. Um, or it makes me nervous to do publicly. Um, and when it comes down to brass tacks on fog, um, the world has kind of moved on from, in large part, the world has moved on from the type of imaging that fog was built for, right? Fog was initially built um, at a time when making a master image was still um, largely the standard. And now you can have, if you work with a reputable vendor, you can have PCs pre-provisioned to get on your domain, to join whatever management facility you're using, and then you can push software out to them without having to manage all this extra stuff for fog. And you know, I don't want to be the dinosaur in the tar pit, you know, and cling to fog until it's so far past its prime that, you know, it becomes even more niche. I don't know what announcement Google made yesterday. Did they make an announcement yesterday? I was more watching the hardware announcements coming out of Computex, so I'm not following Google that closely, I guess. Suppose I could search and see. Oh, from Google I/O. Here we go. All news and announcements. No, I don't want that one to get larger. A bunch of AI crap. More AI into search, Gmail, and Chrome. Plans to revamp video calls. Make a more aware conversational assistant. Partner with traditional glasses companies on smart glasses. Highlights. Google Chrome will be able to automatically change your bad passwords. I don't want that. I don't want to save passwords in Chrome to begin with. Android XR is getting stylish partners in Warby Parker and Gentle Monster. Google's bringing real-time AI camera sharing to search. Make virtual meetings suck less. AI mode is obviously the future of Google search. Google's universal AI agent prototype can now do stuff for you, and you don't even have to ask. Gmail's smart replies will use AI to pull context from your inbox and Drive. Yep. Wow. Android desktop mode. Interesting. Yep. Yeah. Even more reason to move away from Gmail. That's what I'm thinking. Even more reason to move away from Gmail. So anyway, we've been live for 90 minutes, just over 90 minutes. Actually, almost 92 minutes. So don't go there. There we go. Anywho, yeah, that's where we're at tonight. Yeah. Elgato announced some cool stuff. Yeah, they have a cloud version of the Stream Deck. But it's only available for owners of the physical Stream Deck. But I guess that could be interesting if they, worked with other other things like, I don't know, StreamYard. That would be kind of interesting. Or not StreamYard. Anything other than StreamYard to give the other companies a competitive advantage. And if we can get more people to leave StreamYard, I think that would be a good thing at this point. I'm pretty sure I'm not renewing my subscription with them. I found a couple of alternatives that I'm going to give a try in a little bit more depth. Probably starting either later this month or early next month. I'm actually going to do a 1 month subscription to the whatever it was called. It's been a long day. So yeah, not especially with the couple of features that have been added lately with the scenes and the chat overlay. There's not like a one-to-one competitor with StreamYard at this point, but there are some that come close, or they are comparable to what StreamYard was when I first started using StreamYard. So, I hate going backwards, but cost is the determining factor here. And Bending Spoons, I just don't have much use for them as a company that just absorbs other companies and turns their product into crap, or raises the prices so far that people can't afford it. So yeah, generally Elgato stuff is pretty good. I think the only piece of Elgato equipment I own is the Stream Deck. See what Elgato announced. In May 2025, Elgato announced several new additions to its Stream Deck ecosystem, collectively known as Stream Deck Everywhere. This includes a virtual Stream Deck software allowing users to create on-screen control panels, as well as Stream Deck modules for integrating Stream Deck functionality into other devices and projects. Additionally, a new Stream Deck MK2 with scissor switch keys was unveiled, offering a more precise and keyboard-like feel. So virtual Stream Deck modules, the MK2, the Stream Deck network dock, Specific features of the network dock are not detailed in the provided search results. Stream Deck Studio Award. Interesting. So all right. Well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. There. Bring it back. All right. Stream Deck Everywhere Strategy. Elgato, a leading provider of content creation tools and subsidiary of Corsair. Okay, so the first paragraph is all propaganda. Stream Deck has become a must-have for creator. More propaganda. Stream Deck modules, DIY and integration ready. Interesting. Available in 6, 15, and 32 key variations. Module comes housed in a durable aluminum chassis that's ready to drop straight into a custom mount, machine, or product. That could be interesting. Like retail components, Stream Deck module is compatible with Stream Deck software and third-party apps. Network dock for Stream Deck, untethered control. Okay. Interesting. And available as PoE and non-PoE. Virtual Stream Deck. That's an interesting idea. Scissor keys. I mean, did they learn nothing from Apple? Stream Deck ecosystem from hardware to everywhere. All right. The modules look interesting. Definitely look interesting. So all right. Well, I guess I'm out of things to talk about tonight. Nevermore, nevermore. I don't know. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call tonight. I'm going to take a break and then see about recording maybe I'll record the episode 128 tonight and try to combine it before I have to leave in the morning and release 128 as a standalone for members and a combined version for everybody else and call it what it is, I guess. So, all right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. And I will probably be back Friday night, maybe Friday or Saturday, one of the two, maybe both. I don't know. Stay tuned for updates. We'll put it that way.